All right, guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. What's good? Guys, we've just had the Amir Khan fight. Kell Brook stops Amir Khan in the 6th round. To be honest, I'm not even that upset, to be honest. I thought I'd be devastated by that defeat if Khan was to lose. But this was a replay of the Crawford fight in the sense that Amir Khan's totally finished. Like, I like Amir Khan, and I don't understand. I even said in the clips that when I saw the sparring that Amir's legs didn't look right. And, you buy into the hype and you think that, he's going to turn back the clock, But at 35, I told you guys, and that's why I predicted yesterday that Brook would beat him. But I didn't expect it to be like that. By the way, Brook is also shot to bits as well. Brook needs to retire. They're talking about him fighting Eubank. He would get he would get seriously hurt. Like, Amir Khan from round 1, he just didn't look like he has legs. And it was the same with the Crawford fight. He didn't have his legs under him. He just looked terrible. He just looked like he didn't have any balance. In his prime when he fought Maidana and Alexander, like, Khan was unbelievable. Like, come on. Even when he fought Canelo, I just feel like he's totally finished. Totally finished. Like, that was an OKP, messaged me and said, did you see Brook's jab? Like, Khan was is totally gone. It wasn't Brook's power. Brook hit him with the kitchen sink and he was still standing. He didn't even go down ever. He didn't even go down in the fight. But his legs were all over the place. He didn't have the strength in his legs. He didn't have anything. He didn't have anything. His speed was slow. You know why his speed is slow? His hands are probably still fast. But he's not got no legs. His legs are like like he's on ice. Like, he's skating he doesn't have the legs. He doesn't have the legs. He's just completely shot to bits. It was a bit like David Haye and Tony Bellew. Obviously, Brook was bigger than Khan, but it was a mismatch in the sense that Brook looked terrible, in my opinion. He was throwing wild shots, swinging wildly, missing a lot of shots. Because really, Khan should have been knocked out in the first 1 or 2 rounds. I'm glad that, he was fighting Brook and not somebody that was a huge puncher. Because Brook isn't a huge puncher. I even told you guys Brook isn't that big a puncher. If he was, Khan would have been... Imagine if that was Canelo in there. Imagine if that was Canelo in there. He would have been knocked out in the first round.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, with Canelo knocked Khan out cold when Khan was good, let alone now. Now it would be, Khan might be in the hospital.
But one thing I will say is this. I don't know how they allowed him to fight. Like, this was, you could say, like a money grab, or, like a money grab in the sense that, look, Khan's a warrior. I even said to you guys that he would not quit in this fight. But I expected more in terms of, like, he's just completely shot. And I know some of the Brook fans are going to come out and say, oh, Brook was so superior and it's nothing to... You could... Look, if you're an honest person, you know that that was a shadow. By the way, it was a shadow of Kell Brook as well. It was a shadow of Kell Brook. Like I said to you, Kell Brook can't fight on with anyone decent. He would get badly damaged, right? And his power is not there. He hasn't got power. His timing is not that great. He was wild. He was just too big and strong for Amir Khan. He's always been bigger. But Khan just had nothing. He had nothing to offer. Like, back in his day, he could move and he had speed. And that would cause anyone trouble. But right now, he just didn't have that. So it just became, like I said, like a punching bag, like a sitting duck. Basically, Khan is like David Haye, right? He had natural gifts like David Haye had in his prime. But those gifts diminish. Same with Roy Jones. Like, they're gifts that you have, that these aren't fundamentally sound fighters like David Haye, Amir Khan. These are guys that are not fundamentally sound. And as you get older, your gifts, your natural abilities start to diminish. He just looked all over the place. He just looked terrible. Like, I don't understand how he even took this fight. Like, I was just shocked. This was basically, for me, a replay of David Haye v Tony Bellew, somehow.
Yeah, it wasn't, good from round 1, to be honest.
It's dangerous, Salman. It's dangerous.
No,
like,
no, it is.
Look at Khan's face at the end of the fight.
No,
like,
it's dangerous. It's very dangerous.
Like, you're going in there, you're completely finished. You're going in there and you're... Like, Brooks, I knew Brooks still had something left. I knew Brooke was finished as well. But I knew Brooke had something left. And I didn't know what Khan... When I was thinking about Khan, I was thinking about Khan Alexander. But I didn't know what was going to turn up. What we saw there tonight... We saw a guy that doesn't have any... Like, I'm talking, Brooks still probably has 40% but left, if that. Khan has probably 10%, maybe 5%. He has nothing to give. He's not a boxer anymore. He's not. And to be honest, that was kind of embarrassing because he probably shouldn't have even taken this fight. You know, there was no need for him to take that fight. You know, because it kind of was really, it was humiliating, really. Don't you think?
Yeah, I don't. Obviously, as you know, Ingle said at the press conference, like, Kel's got more to gain than what Khan's obviously got more to lose by losing this fight. His legacy, everything's at stake. But obviously, you know, Khan wanted to take this fight. He wanted to prove who the better fighter was. But personally, you know, this Khan, I don't think he's done himself justice, if I'm going to be honest. Because you got to realize if you're a shadow of yourself, you're not going to be the best version of yourself. And, you know, look, let alone Kell Brook, I'm going to be honest, guys. I think even a European guy would beat Khan, let alone Kell Brook at this stage.
Bro, Kell Brook is not a European level fighter at the minute. David Avanesian would ruin Kell Brook.
Yeah, I think so.
Conor Benn would ruin Kell Brook.
Yeah, I think Conor Benn would.
Did you see how wildly he was swinging? He was all over the place. Like I said, Khan was finished. From round one, his legs, he was done. He was done. It wasn't Brook's superiority. It wasn't like Brook was hitting him with Brook hit him with right hands and Khan took him. That when Canelo hit Khan with the right hand, it was over. And that was in his prime when his legs were stable. He doesn't have legs under him. He was taking all of Brook's shots. Brook doesn't... I said it before. Brook's power is always overrated. He just fought a completely shot to bits Amir Khan.
Yeah, no, Kell Brook definitely had a lot more in the tank than...
Khan's
punches didn't have anything on them. It wasn't troubling Brook.
No, it's not even that, Salman. It's like his feet were like all over the place. He had no balance. He had no... Like, you know, in his prime, when he used to do his shots, there was a mean intention. Yeah. When he fought Maidon, how quick he was, his feet were so fast.
Yeah, I don't think personally, whichever trainer he goes with, he's shot, he's finished. It doesn't matter what trainer he goes with.
Khan's finished, he's retired.
I think he already said it, you know, in the post-fight interview that I'm gonna retire now, and you know.
He can't, look, you can't fight on like that. That's dangerous.
Yeah,
that's dangerous. He took a lot of punishment in there. And look, Brooks obviously now won the bragging rights. Oh, I've beaten, but it was like that was a really poor watch. That was a really poor. That was a really.
Yeah, if you're a Khan fan, obviously, you know, it is a poor watch because you're
watching the show. It was two fighters. They were both pretty average. Like, look, Khan was really average. He was very poor. And Brook was also off. They were both very, very poor, in my opinion. It was like watching a domestic fight. Domestic level. Like I said, I think I'm 100% confident Conor Benn Amir Khan would get knocked out in a round. And Brook would probably last 2 or 3 rounds. Like, Brooks, for me, he was wild, man. He was proper wild. And, like, Brooks normally great, very strong. And he's very, like, Brook is very accurate. He was missing and throwing wild shots. And the balance wasn't right. It just looked terrible. It just looked like, it looked horrible. For me, that was horrible to watch. We got a fight. This was worse than Mayweather-Pacquiao for me. Like, at least these two, you always knew that these two were kind of past their best, where those two were still the best in the world. But this was worse in the sense that it was kind of like two guys that were really past it. One guy had a little bit more than the other guy. But, you know...
To be honest, from round one, it looked one-way traffic. I said, as soon as I seen Khan wobbling, I said that it's basically a matter of time until he gets knocked out now, because...
Here's the thing. Since Khan got beat by Canelo, his career was over. Let's be brutally honest. He was not the same fighter after that. And
I think, you know, after the
Brook
Canelo
has been
fight,
more active.
After the Canelo fight, I think he even said it at the end, I don't have the same love for boxing anymore that I used to have like 10 years ago. And if that was the case, then, you got to realize, you know, I think he should have packed it in before.
No, but what I don't understand, Salman, what I'm confused about, what I'm really confused about, when he was training, didn't he notice that my legs aren't there? Like, surely you would notice these things.
But even if he did notice, it's probably too late to then, you know, call it a day, I guess.
Well, I don't know.
Maybe he had signed the fight before he had, you know, before he got into training.
Because look, when you're training, right, you can tell that your body's all over the place. You're shot. Like, he didn't look right to me. He looked terrible. Like, come on, like anyone, like we've watched Amir Khan throughout his whole career, right? That was like we've seen David Haye's fights. Look how bad David Haye looked against Tony Bellew.
Yeah, no, 100%. And you got to realize, right? You got to realize when he got knocked out against Crawford, he looked terrible. This is 3 years on from that. He looked even worse today. Look, at the end of the day, it was, you know, it was obviously, from round one, it was one-way traffic. It was just a one-way beating, really. Like, you know, I can see why the probably bookies, you know, had Brook favourite now, because Khan had such a long layoff, and even before that, he, you know, he didn't look very good. He didn't look good even in 2018, he looked brilliant against Le Greco. But then when he fought Vargas, he looked terrible in that fight. Do you know, to be honest, if I was Khan, me personally, I would have retired after that Vargas fight. I would have realised that I don't have anything left in the tank. Because in that Vargas fight, that showed me a lot that he's finished. From that Vargas fight in 2018, and this is probably 4 years back now, he was done then and then. I'll tell you, from what I can see, he was done after that Samuel Vargas fight. He was finished from then. He should have retired there and just called it a day. But obviously he went on to fight Crawford and then went on to fight Brook. And now, you know, he's lost, obviously, if you want to say the bragging rights or whatever. But, you know, he was finished from the Samuel Vargas fight. I can remember Carl Froch saying, you know, that this isn't, you know, this guy, if he's got ambitions of challenging for a world title, then he needs to think again, because he's not going to win, because he's not good enough, you know. And tonight, 4 years on from that, you know, he could obviously, Brook wouldn't look as good as he usually does, but, you know, Khan completely looked, this wasn't the same Khan that fought Maidana, I tell you that, nowhere near. It's like, this wasn't even the same Khan this wasn't even the same Khan that fought, you know, Canelo.
I'd say this wasn't even a Khan that should have been in a boxing ring.
Yeah, no, seriously, yeah.
That's dangerous, man. When do you not understand? Like, look, Khan's a warrior, right? Look, he went out on his shield. I knew you guys. I think someone said that would he quit?
No,
Khan wouldn't quit in this type of fight. I knew that. But the point is that it's dangerous. It's dangerous, man. It's dangerous fighting when you've got nothing left in your legs and your legs are totally shot to bits. You know, and for me, I've said it like I've said it all along that I don't think like Kell Brook's still timing, power. That's still going to be there, but your speed, your legs, they diminish badly as you get older. They diminish. So he basically made easy pickings for Brook. Really, he was totally finished. Totally finished. You know, legs were from round one. It was bad. It was bad. Horrible to watch. Horrible to watch.
His feet movement was very sloppy, very slow. Yeah, you can tell that he's half not even half. I would say this was a quarter of the fighter he was. This wasn't the same fighter.
Quarter? I would say it wasn't anywhere near.
Yeah, not anywhere near. Yeah, exactly. This wasn't the same Khan that fought.
I think Brook was. I think Brook was a quarter of himself. I think Khan was even less, more so. But Brook was bigger and stronger. But I was just so shocked because when I saw him the way he was in the first round, his legs wobbling, I thought Brook's going to knock him out cold here. But Brook was swinging wildly and he was throwing wild shots, and you know, his balance didn't look there either. Like, he looked bad. He just looked better than Amir in that fight, but he looked all over the place. He looked bad. He didn't look anything like I said, when I saw him fight Crawford, you could tell he was finished. But this was like embarrassing, you know, to lose like that in a fight like that, and that was on pay-per-view.
You got to realize, like, do you know how some people say some fighters at 35, they're like Crawford, he's a panther. But you got to realize the difference between Crawford and Khan. Crawford stayed active, and also Crawford's always in the gym.
That as well, not just that. Crawford relies on IQ. He's got very good boxing IQ. Amir Khan relies on natural gifts, speed, foot speed. He doesn't really have great IQ.
No, he doesn't. Not at all.
And like I said to you, that he's shot to bits. Like he's like David Haye. His body's like David Haye. To be honest, I thought Brook might be like that. I thought Brook would be like, you know, I thought Brook would be David Haye. But actually, it turned out Khan was the one that was completely shot to bits. His legs were wobbling, man. I've never seen Khan's legs wobble like that. Like, only when he takes big shots. You know, but this was like, even, he just...
There was one point where a jab really stunned him as well.
But that's when you know that, look, that's when you know that the fighter is, like, look, Luis Ortiz is shot to bits. He went down, and Ortiz went down by a jab, and I was like, this guy's shot to bits, because I remember Ortiz had very good punch resistance. You see, Khan now is fighting in survival mode, and this is what I was saying. Khan never had a great chin, but when he got caught with big shots in exchanges, it hurt. But now he's getting caught with shots that he's seeing coming, that never used to catch him before. So he's getting caught with shots and taking those shots because, he's not going down. He's not going down because he's not throwing punches. He's not throwing punches because guys aren't catching him when he's throwing punches. He's just getting caught with shots on the ropes, and because he's totally finished. He's totally finished. And even against the Crawford fight, it's exactly the same thing happened here. But he was even worse. At least against Crawford, he was landing something. In this fight, he was totally, like, completely finished.
Yeah, he's washed.
Yeah, that was
very, very poor from him. You know, the best thing for him to do now is just call it a day, and, you know, just do other things, coach other fighters or something along.
Just carry on doing his stuff. Like, at the end of the day, like,
I don't want to see him in the ring again. I wouldn't watch it if he was to go in the ring again. I wouldn't even want to watch it, because that's dangerous.
Like, to be honest, look, he's gonna get a lot of stick. He's gonna get crazy
territory.
I hope people give him the respect. I don't think so. I've said it all along. But there was a time where Khan was a great fighter in his prime, but those days are well gone. And all he's gonna do now is get beat up. You know, like, imagine if he was in there with Conor Benn. Imagine what would have happened.
That's what Eddie Hearn said. That if, like, he
would have been knocked out in a round.
Yeah, it would have been splattered in a round.
Look, even Algieri looked better than Khan. Let's be honest, Algieri looked better than Khan, didn't he? Algieri against Conor Benn looked better than Amir Khan. He looked much better. Like, he was actually doing okay in the fight. I thought he was doing well. This was horrible. Amir Khan's legs were all over the place. I don't know what I witnessed there, but you got to congratulate Kell Brook. He did the job. But again, for me, for both of them, I think that's it. It's time to call it a day, because both of them looked poor.
I personally think that Brook will have one more fight. But what will happen? The thing is, I don't know whether Brook will retire, because obviously he's saying he's got his mojo back and this, that, the other. But what's going to happen to Brook is what happened to Khan today. He's going to get in there with someone decent that's, that's...
Eubank would destroy Kell Brook at this point. That's dangerous. Even Carl Froch.
But that's what I'm saying. Then the same thing will happen to Brook. Then he'll realize that I need to call it a day here, because you got to realize when you win a fight, you just have that natural instinct that, no, I want one more. But if his team, I think Dom Ingle should tell Brook that, listen, you beat Khan now, let's call it a day on that. That's what the best thing to do would be to do for him. You know, he's won the bragging rights, fight, right? And both of them should call it a day on that. I think that's the best decision, because if he goes on and fights now, right, and Eddie Hearn doesn't care about Kell Brook. He'd want to make the Conor Benn fight.
Conor Benn, he's not going to fight Conor Benn because he's not going to go to 147. So Kell Brook's not fighting Conor Benn. The only fight is Eubank, but that's a stupid fight. You know, like I said, Kell didn't even look good against Amir Khan, who was totally past his best. Right? So, to me, I'm sorry, I don't think Brook would get battered against Eubank on that performance. You'd have to say he gets battered.
I don't know. I don't rate Eubank that, like, this new style that Eubank's got. I don't know whether if he fights like that, how he did against Williams, and you know, he's not throwing punches in bunches. If he goes back to the old Eubank, then I think, yeah, he'll beat Kell Brook up quite badly. But if he does this Eubank where he tries to box, and I don't know then, because I think Brook might even beat that Eubank, to be honest. If he tries to box, if he goes in rough and tough and starts throwing punches with mean intentions, then yeah, I think Eubank will beat Kell Brook, like the old Eubank though, not this Eubank, the one that's fighting now. He looks terrible.
Like Eubank beats Kell Brook. Come on, it's a natural middleweight. He's bigger, he's stronger. That's not really a fight. But I think both. Khan's gonna retire. There's no doubt about it. Who's gonna want to see him in a ring again?
I personally think, like my friend said to me, that Khan should have retired ages ago. Like he said that he's like, Khan's fighting 6-7 years too much than what he should have.
Yeah.
He said that Khan should have like retired probably, you know, in 2015, 2016. That's what he said to me. He's like that. After that, Khan's looked terrible. Like he looked good against LaGreca, but LaGreca was really just, you know, an easy fight. That was just like a tune-up. But yeah, since then, I knew from the Samuel Vargas fight, when I looked at his speed and everything, he was finished from then. He should have retired then and should have realised that if I'm struggling here getting put down by Vargas, right, who was supposed to be a tune-up fight, right, just to get me, you know, feeling good again, how am I going to last in there with, you know, let alone Brook, forget Brook, how am I going to last in there against Crawford and these sort of guys? But we don't know what his situation was, but obviously I think he will make the right decision now after that performance, and he will call it a day. And it'd be an idiot not to call it a day, because he's got, you know, this fight, you know, he was getting beat up really from round 1 to round 6. And I personally think both of them should call it a day. You know, both of them should call it a day.
Well, Amir Khan's going to retire. There's no doubt. Like, where are you going to go after that? That was horrible.
And plus, the thing is, Amir Khan's got a lot more other things that he can do with his life at the minute. You know, there's a lot more things he's involved with. He doesn't need boxing anymore. He doesn't need boxing. Yeah, he can go, you know, watch fights, and that's where his best place, and that best place is now. Maybe a few commentating gigs. That's probably his best place now in boxing. Well, that is his best place in boxing. In the ring now, you know, is not the best place for him to be. You know, I think he was very graceful in defeat. You know, he said the better man won on the night. He didn't make no excuses.
Yeah, but you got dominated, so of course you got to make no excuses. It was
but
just
the main
fact
thing
that
is he should retire. I want to see him
Yeah,
retire.
oh,
I don't want to see whether even if it's an exhibition fight, or I don't want to see Khan fight ever again. I want to just know him for what he was, because I don't want to see him now and completely, you know, this is obviously going to taint his legacy. Everyone knows that. But we do not want to go to the extent where he becomes, you know, a journeyman for people and he ruins his legacy completely.
That was.
Because at least Kell Brook, you know, he won a world title. You know, it wasn't like he's lost to someone that's a complete, you know, guy off the street. He lost to a guy that was a former world champion. That's it now. Because if he goes in and steps in there and then loses to guys that, you know, that are lower level, then his legacy becomes completely tainted, and he doesn't want to do that. The best decision for him to make is retire and call it a day and finished. That's it.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Guys, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. You know, I don't know what to make of that. I don't know what to make of that. To be honest, I'm not even that disappointed.
Yeah, neither am I, to be honest. I
thought I'd be devastated, but after seeing that,
I even said before the fight, I was more disappointed when, you know, Khan, like when he lost against Canelo, I was very disappointed because he was doing really well in that fight. But this fight, as I said, if he gets dominated, I won't really be disappointed because I know he has nothing left. You know, when a fighter's got something left and, you know, they're dominating a fight and then they get knocked out, it hurts more because, you know, they were winning that fight and then they just got caught. But this fight, he was never winning. So I'm not really devastated at all, to be honest, because, you know, Khan was finished, and, you know, it is what it is, you know. We move on now, and obviously he'll call it a day.
All right, leave your thoughts, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.